Now, after we've completed our estimate of time and effort and resources, we're ready to move on to step 6, build a schedule. Schedules accomplish two important goals for the project manager. Number one, they help you communicate among team members and keep people coordinated. And number two, they help you sell the project to senior management as you demonstrate to them through your schedule that you know what you're doing. It's up to you to pick the schedule that best communicates your overall project structure. And we're going to look at some examples here. A Gantt chart shows the relative duration of project activities and is kind of a nice snapshot. A network diagram, on the other hand, shows the way that one project task flows into another task and where there are tasks converging and where there are bottlenecks. This can help you analyze and pay attention to key points in your project. Now, the milestone chart is sort of like an executive summary of your project. It shows major project events without all the individual tasks and phases being broken out. Typically, senior management wants to see a milestone chart. It's a nice little project summary. Now, an ordinary calendar is easy for everyone to relate to, and it has the added benefit of showing the days of the week, the months of the year, and so forth, so that people can integrate their own family events, community events, and other things that are important to them. This makes it much more likely that they'll have that calendar hanging in a prominent place in their workspace. So, summarizing, here are your targets for step 6, build a schedule. First, an overview schedule that clearly communicates all the activities, phases, milestones, and the way work is going to flow throughout the project. Then you might want one or more detailed schedules, such as one showing the next upcoming project phase in high-resolution detail fashion, or the plumber's tasks, one particular project player's task, like the computer programmers, or maybe senior executives' review points. And finally, you want to come up with some sort of a strategy to revisit and update the schedule periodically to make sure you're maintaining it to accurately reflect what's going on in the project. Now, here's a footnote. You don't need expensive project management software to create a project schedule. You can create a graphic schedule using a Word table or an Excel table I've seen used to coloring in cells and making a Gantt chart. And you can also use any simple graphics program to create the kind of little boxes and flowchart pieces that you might want for your schedule and annotate them. So it doesn't have to be complicated. What it has to be, though, is accurate and something that clearly communicates. Now let's move on to step 7, estimate the costs. This is the last of our detailed planning steps. Cost estimates should cover labor, which is typically the largest cost associated with a project, as well as materials and supplies and equipment. And then there are other costs that it's up to your organization to decide you want to build into your costs, such as the cost of inflation or profits or to recover administrative costs and that sort of thing. So it's up to you to decide and your organizational financial people to decide what you want to capture in a cost estimate. Here's an example of a project cost estimate table. As you can see, it's fairly straightforward at this point because we've done all the other homework of determining the tasks and the phases and the effort and so forth. We now simply need to come up with the dollar amount associated with each of your resources. So at this point, we simply multiply the rate of pay that someone is making times the number of hours of labor they're putting in and come up with the cost of that person's labor. For other costs such as rental of a piece of equipment and so forth, or purchase, we can plug those in a separate spot in the cost table and total up all the costs for each phase, for each activity, and a summary of the overall project cost. Fairly straightforward. But remember, it's only straightforward because you did all of your good homework in the earlier steps of figuring out exactly what the finished work product was going to be, the tasks required, and the time, effort, and resources. Summarizing then, your targets for this step: estimate the cost, step 7, come up with a detailed estimate of project costs, labor, materials, supplies, and all that stuff, overhead and profit. And finally, a description of assumptions. It's really important to capture the assumptions you made in your cost estimate, so if someone inherits your budget, they'll know that, oh, they were planning on $75 an hour, and now we're finding it's $100 an hour, and that sort of thing. So you want to capture your assumptions that you made related to project costs as well.